TNA Wrestling crossed that line again as another action-packed, fun-filled episode of Impact has not long finished on AMC, AMC Plus, and of course TNA Plus for yours truly over here in the UK. Lots of stuff went down this week. We started things off. No disqualification. EC3 against EY. Eric Young as the cleanse of EC3 begun. Or has it even finished for that matter? This match had so many several like memorable moments in this. We had like the EC3 hit a one percenter on Eric Young with the chair wrapped around his neck. EC3 was driven through a table with a power driver. You know, they went at it. They really went to war in this because I thought the first match they had was a little underwhelming, to be honest with you. And I think I remember saying that on the show a good few weeks ago now. Um, so I'm glad that they made up for it. The interesting part of this match is that EC3 hits, not EC3, Eric Young hits the power driver onto a chair and picks up the victory. The one, the two, the three. The victory's done. Now, that's a shock for me because although I feel as if it gets Eric Young over, ready for the next feud, probably with Ricky Sosa, question marks now will start to come in about EC3. Whether or not, in terms of the direction where he's going, I'm hoping this is just, that obviously it's just the start of his reign again at EC3. But I feel as though we need to start, EC3 needs to start maybe picking up some momentum. I know this is probably second match back, and he has lost them both. And I always say the momentum and all of that sort of stuff that happens during the time. I do think that EC3, well, we'll have to see what his role is in TNA. Is he going to be there for? Is he going to be there to put over younger talent? Is he going to start winning championships? We need to sign a see a plan from EC3. I'm hoping that maybe this is now in the rear view mirror. He'll go off elsewhere and maybe start something else up on TNA. But the match itself, compared to the first match, it was night and day, really. This was a really brutal affair to kick off. And it kind of gives you an idea of how this show, Impact show, is going to be about. It's going to be about a lot of hard-hitting action, high-octane action. And I enjoyed the match a lot more than the last one. Eric Young winning was a surprise. I'm not going to lie, but we'll see what happens. And like I said, I'm pretty sure Eric Young now is in prime position for when Ricky Sosa does return to TNA, which I hope is sooner rather than later. We need to see him on our telly boxes, that's for sure. So the main event of Impact this week is going to be for the Knockouts Championship. It's going to be Lei Ying Lee trying to trying to recapture the Knockouts Championship from Ariana Grace, and that leads me to the bit out the back with Ariana Grace pretty much blaming Santino for putting this rematch in place. And with that said, though, Stax Lorenzo is back with her, and he's confident about her. He's always had a plan, is what they're saying on this, and hope. And they have some a public show of affection, shall we say, which Gia Miller found absolutely disgusting. um, Now, the system are busy tonight. Two tag matches. They are in. Brian Myers and Bear Bronson sent Nick Nemeth and KC Navarro a warning ahead of their tag team championship defense against the two a bit later on. And of course, Cedric Alexander. Well, this is a big one because obviously next week on TNA, he will have the opportunity to make sure that Leon Slater does not become, well, the youngest in charge for many reasons and the longest reigning X Division champion in TNA history. Now, speaking of Leon Slater, I will be sitting down with the youngest in charge very, very soon. In a little while. Looking forward to it and speaking to him a bit later on today. But yeah, the system sends out warnings ahead of their retrospective tag team matches, which we'll get into very, very shortly. Hang on. It's Friday morning. It's any time in the morning. It's Cup of Joe. Right. Onto the knockouts division now. This is where things get a bit interesting now because obviously we've got the knockouts world title match as the main event. Well, Elena Black comes out and she said that she's the number one knockout in the division, and she's the only knockout that matters. What she did wonder, and there is an argument for this, is why she didn't have a spot in that knockouts main event for the world championship. But she did also say that she's coming for the winner um, of that match in the future. There is an argument there, though. Elena Black has been on a roll. Okay, she lost one match, but she's been on a roll since coming into TNA, and I've said it. She should be in that opportunity. She should be in that conversation along with Tessa Blanchard and another one which I'll get to in a minute. And yeah, I think that there is an argument for that. However, Ash by Elegance didn't take too kindly to this. She comes out and she calls Elena Block a gothic prostitute. And well, they start comparing their money and wealth, and they have their own subscription services, shall we say, that you can all subscribe to if you know the address. I'm not going to say it here, but OF springs to mind if anyone wants to go. But they were interrupted by Indy Hartwell. And she was saying, "Oh, why are you guys comparing bank accounts and checks? There's a knockouts title match later on tonight." Elena Black just decides that she's had enough at this point, but Ash by Elegance continues the confrontation. But Indy Hartwell, jeez, she called Ash's teeth fake. She called her appearance fake. She called her boobs fake. And then dropped Ash by Elegance with a strike. Ash is on the outside. She's, yeah, holding her hands here. And Elena and Ash are watching Indy Hartwell stand tall. But Indy Hartwell was the other one that I thought last year, Bound for Glory, was the time for her. I really, really did. Obviously, that didn't materialize. And Indy, I think, then had, was it visa? Did she have visa issues as well? Was there an injury? I can't remember. So she's now back in contention. I'm not saying has the ship sailed, but have more people come into that division now that perhaps could warrant that opportunity ahead of Indy Hartwell? I don't know, I've been thinking about this because I've said Tessa Blanchard for so long. She definitely needs to be in that conversation. Elena Black has come in, blue chip candidate. Myra Sade as well, Mylan Moore. There's so many now knockouts. As I said, that division has had a real refresh over the last 6 to 8 months. It's great to see, but it does leave a bane a question as to whether Indy Hartwell's time to shine may have already come and gone. I hope not. I think she's great, and I do think she deserves it. It's the childhood dream for Indy Hartwell. They've shown packages in the past with her growing up with the Knockouts Championship in Australia. So you would hope that we're still going to get Indy Hartwell as Knockouts champion. I just look at the division now and the people that have come in and thinking, has that time, and obviously look, Zaya Brookside with the new attitude as well. We can't forget that. And has the time come and gone? We'll wait and see. Now, last week, Santino Marella had announced that he had been officially brought back after suspension and he was going to be at Impact this week. Well, the flight had cancelled, so that means that Daria Ray was in charge this evening, and she found that quite funny. And I don't know whether she was behind that situation. We'll have to find out I'm sure she has. I mean, not sure how Santino's flight, she can make a flight be cancelled. I'm sure it's not beyond the realms of impossibility on TNA, but quite possibly she did. Who knows? Right. Tag team championships now. Let's get serious. The system, Bear Bronson, Brian Myers versus KC Navarro and Nick Nemeth. This, by the way, was absolutely brilliant. Um, what I would say about Nick and Casey is considering they've never teamed up, certainly not on television, like as in a tag team before, they showed great chemistry as a team. And there was you know, there was just such a great bit about them. And like, you look at it and sometimes teams get thrown together and people get thrown together and they make the most of it. I always throw back to Sheamus and Cesaro, how they were never a team. They got put together because WWE didn't have nothing for them. And they made chicken salad out of chicken, you know what, and it was tremendous. And KC and Nick was brilliant in this. I really, really thought I didn't think sorry, I didn't think they were going to win it, but during that match, where you saw the tag team cohesion between the two, you're starting sitting there going, well, if they don't win it now, they've got a chance later on down the line for sure. You know, this was fantastic. I loved it. But what I did love as also was when Bear Bronson reversed Casey Navarro's finisher into his own move. I mean, it was so smooth, and the Bear down gets the job done, and the tag team champions are retain on this occasion. But I can wax lyrical about Bear Bronson so many times. And I don't know. I can keep saying it, and we can all keep saying it. The guy is money. That guy is the future of TNA wrestling. I'm telling you now. Bear Bronson is an absolute top quality wrestler. And when you had things like when you had like the Ricky Sosas coming in and they made an impact. I don't think anyone has made an impact in TNA recently more than Bear Bronson. And he's tag champion now, but if I'm Santana or whoever the champion will be in the future, I know that he did have an opportunity, Bear, at the start of the year, but whoever that champion is, he's going to come for you. And I don't know. I think that Bear Bronson is TNA championship material all day long. Absolutely all day long. What a great match this was as well, by the way. Really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. And basically, it didn't take long because after that, Eddie Edwards got on the mic and pretty much said the system want to keep the momentum going. So he calls out Moose and Leon Slater for their tag team match. And you just think, when you think a tag match can't get any better, they throw this one in. Eddie Edwards, Cedric Alexander. Obviously, Cedric getting ready for his big match against Leon next week. And of course, Moose. This was, Do you know what, though? And I'm going to be honest with you here. And I feel like the biggest letdown of this tag team match was the crowd. Considering how strong this tag team match was in the ring, the crowd let it down for me. You know, it delivered, the crowd let it down. They weren't really involved as they should be, considering all four competitors, they were given enough time to tell their story. The structure of the match was perfect. Each man in this had their moment to shine. You see Leon Slater bring out his best of these hits and all of that stuff. And there was an I did like the fact though that they kind of kept Leon and Cedric out of the pinfall sequence, considering obviously the 2 out of 3 falls next week. Very intriguing choice for that, and I think that could yeah, that was an interesting bit anyway, for sure. But the system won one this evening, and they lost one this evening. Moose reverses Eddie Edwards into a pinfall of his own to secure the victory. Um, very good match, very enjoyable, and I'm enjoyed it. I really have enjoyed it. That particular contest. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next week, though. And yeah, I'm digging next week's 2 out of 3 falls. Loving it, loving it, loving it. Now, last week, obviously, we saw broken Matt Hardy on TNA. Now, this week, well, they addressed the righteous, and Jeff Hardy in this has teased the return of Brother Nero as they confront, or they really tell the righteous pretty much that they're coming for him. And from what I hear, next week there is going to be, maybe not next week, it may be taped next week, but they're going to do a cinematic match, which is interesting. Which is interesting, and that is going to be fun. But the ending of this showed Jeff Hardy with his pupils white. So I think we're going to be seeing Brother Nero and Broken Matt in Tina. Well, we've got Broken Matt, but I think Brother Nero is there. And we're going to be seeing it. Or Willow is the other one, potentially Willow. That was the other Jeff Hardy. I can't think of the word. The other version, alter ego. There we go, of Jeff Hardy. So will we see Willow? Will we see Brother Nero? I don't know. We'll find out very, very soon. Now, Mike Santana was in the ring, um, you know, and he promised to bring TNA back to its essence when he was fighting to bring that world championship back from NXT. He says that his match with Rich Swann tore the house down, which is exactly what he says he's going to do. He absolutely did. And Santana says he wants to handpick his next opponent. However, the suit, Daria Ray has other ideas. And he does, she's not allowing him to hand pick his opponent. She gets to pick his opponent. And what she has made for next week's TNA is a battle royal, a number one contenders battle royal, with the winner becoming the new number one contender and effectively next in line to Mike Santana, who responds to that by saying, doesn't matter because whatever the outcome, they're going to get the foot up my ass. And then he goes to leave, his music plays. Daria Ray tells the production team to cut the music and play her music out. Looks like someone struggling for power, Daria. But funny at the same time. Anyway, another match scheduled for next week that gets made this week was AJ Francis. Now, he has been on a collision course really with Casey Navarro ever since Casey come back from injury, or as AJ Francis calls him, the pink-haired freak, who has been a constant thorn in his side. Well, he wants a Sacktown street fight next week between Casey Navarro and AJ Francis, and of course Nick Nemeth, and of course Casey Navarro absolutely agrees with him in this as well. So we're going to get that next week. Casey Navarro, AJ Francis, Sacktown Street Fight in Sacramento, California. That is going to be a barn burner. Next week's Impact is shaping up to be absolutely huge, really. Lots of high stakes getting involved. We'll get into it in a minute. But first things first, main event time on TNA Impact, and it was the Knockouts Championship match between Ariana Grace and Lei Ling Lee. And what a great match. It was better than the previous one, a bit like the EC3 Eric Young one for sure. Really, really good on this. I loved it. I've loved, to be honest, a lot of people have slated Ariana Grace's reign. I've enjoyed it because it's, they've wanted her to lose. And the fact that she kept winning was annoying people. And that's a good thing, right? And there were some nice little moves in this as well. Um, but it was, however, Lei Ying Lee with a net breaker. She kind of like, it was in the corner. She flipped over. Ariana Grace dropped her with a net breaker, hits the one, the two, and the three, and becomes a two-time knockouts champion, which is fantastic for Lei Ying Lee. She is now back on top. And really, what that does do is it gives TNA now a chance to freshen. We mentioned about the knockouts division, how it's fresh, how it's more, with the new people in there. This now gives TNA a chance to hit that reset button and give us these new knockouts, these new knockouts feuds going forward. And Elena Blacks, the Tessa Blanchards, the Indy Hartwells will now all be in contention for it. And it should free up a bit more of an interesting time for the knockouts division. So big congratulations for Lei Ying Lee. But that wasn't how Impact went off the air. No, 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 no. We cut to the back, and Moose is laid out, guardrail over his body. Who done it? Here we go. TNA starting another Who done it. Boris, who attacked Moose? We don't know just yet. Well, we may find out next week, because next week TNA is live from Sacramento, California. And boy, oh boy, do we have a show. Next week, Ali and Rosemary versus Victoria Crawford and Myla Moore. We have the street fight between Casey Navarro and AJ Francis. We also have Leon Slater, Cedric Alexander, 2 out of 3 falls, and the #1 contenders battle royal, with the winner becoming next in line from Mike Santana. Guys, you can watch TNA at AMC, AMC Plus over in the States, at Sports Center 360 in Canada, and of course TNA Plus internationally. Get it downloaded, get it subscribed. 1.5 cups of this from your local coffee barista will the get you everything. We'll get you impacts. We'll get you the specials. We'll get you the vault. Anything that you want from TNA is yours. We'll be back in a few short hours' time with the youngest in charge himself, Leon Slater, which you will see next week. But until then, everybody, cross the line and stay safe and good night.